Frizzle Fry by Primus is an album that shouldn't have worked. Released in February of 1990, Frizzle Fry is the record that officially launched the era of Primus sucks. It's the sound of a band with no label, no rules, and about $3,000 to their name, somehow creating one of the most influential, weird, and instantly recognizable debuts in alternative music history. This was Primus's first studio full-length, but not their first release. That honor belongs to Suck on This, a raw live album the band sold out of the trunk of their car. And here's the key part of the story. They used the profits from that live record to self-finance Frizzle Fry. No A&R, no producer meddling, no pressure to sound like anyone else. And because of that, Frizzle Fry sounds like nothing else. The entire record cost about $3,000 to make, which, even in 1990, was almost nothing for a full-length studio album. Les Claypool had borrowed money from his father to press Suck on This, the band's raw, chaotic live album. They sold those records one by one at shows. Out of the trunk, off the merch table, straight into fans' hands. And instead of spending that money on comfort or security, they did the most Primus thing possible. They rolled every single dollar directly back into the band. That cash paid for studio time at different First Studios in San Francisco, a legendary room that had hosted everyone from Dead Kennedys to Herbie Hancock. But Primus weren't walking in as industry darlings. They were walking in as complete outsiders with just enough money to keep the tape rolling. Because the album was entirely self-financed, Primus answered to no one. No label breathing down their necks. No A&R rep suggesting cleaner vocals or tighter arrangements. No one telling them to simplify the bass lines. No one asking where the radio single was. No one telling them to stop being Primus. That freedom is baked into Frizzle Fry. You hear it in the twisted grooves, the uncomfortable lyrics, the sudden tempo shifts, the moments that feel deliberately awkward or confrontational. This is a band experimenting in real time, trusting their instincts completely, even when those instincts were strange, abrasive, or flat-out weird. Frizzle Fry doesn't sound like an album designed to succeed. It sounds like an album designed to exist exactly as it is. And that's why, more than 30 years later, it still feels untamed, unfiltered, and unmistakably Primus. The nicknames. Even the liner notes reflect Primus's warped, self-aware sense of humor, and their complete refusal to take rock band mythology seriously. Instead of formal credits or tough guy aliases, the band introduces themselves like characters in their own private joke. Les Claypool isn't listed under his real name at all. He's credited as Snap, almost certainly a nod to his aggressive, percussive slap bass technique. It's not just playing bass, it's snapping strings, cracking rhythms, and attacking the instrument like it personally wronged him. The nickname feels less like a stage name and more like a sound effect. Guitarist LaLonde becomes Chunker. No explanation, no backstory, just Chunker. It's the kind of nickname that sounds vaguely insulting and affectionate at the same time, perfectly on brand for a band that thrived on inside jokes and never bothered explaining them to the outside world. And then there's drummer Tim Alexander, who is simply credited as Herb. Not because of some deep symbolic meaning, not because of a psychedelic influence, not because it sounded cool. According to the band, he was called Herb because he looked like a herb. That's it. That's the lore. This moment in the liner notes quietly marks the birth of Herb, a nickname that would follow Tim Alexander for decades, becoming inseparable from Primus history. Long before Herb the Ginseng drummer became a running joke and a legend among fans, it was just a dumb, offhand name printed in the credits of a $3,000 album. But that's the magic of Frizzle Fry. Even the smallest details, liner notes, nicknames, throwaway jokes, feel like the foundation of something bigger. The band wasn't just recording songs, they were building a weird little universe. Too Many Puppies is widely believed to be the first song Les Claypool ever wrote, and in many ways, it feels like the DNA of Primus fully formed right out of the gate. At first glance, or first listen, it barely sounds like a song at all. It comes across like a playground chant, simple, repetitive, almost childishly goofy. The bass line lurches forward in a stomping loop. The vocals sound half-spoken, half-taunting, and everything about it feels deliberately unsophisticated. Almost silly, but then you actually listen to the words. Too many puppies are being shot in the dark. Too many puppies are trained not to bark. And suddenly, the joke disappears. The puppies aren't dogs. They're young soldiers, conditioned, trained, and sent off to die before they fully understand what they're being used for. This is a brutally cynical anti-war song, aimed directly at US foreign policy and the way human lives are treated as expendable resources. The track takes particular aim at wars fought over oil, profit, and geopolitical power, conflicts where the people doing the fighting are the ones who lose the most. What makes Too Many Puppies so unsettling is its tone. The childlike phrasing isn't an accident. By framing mass death and military indoctrination in the language of something cute and harmless, Claypool forces the listener to confront how casually society talks about sending young people into combat. It's satire sharpened into a weapon. The repetition becomes suffocating. The groove becomes mechanical. The chant starts to feel less playful and more like propaganda. On the surface, Too Many Puppies feels goofy, almost cartoonish, classic Primus weirdness. But underneath, it's vicious. It's mocking the system. It's grieving the loss of innocence. And it's doing it without speeches, slogans, or moral grandstanding. Just a bass line, a chant, and one of the most deceptively savage songs in Primus's entire catalog. John the Fisherman. Les Claypool is an avid fisherman in real life, casting lines, reeling in fish, living a quiet obsession with the water. But make no mistake, John the Fisherman is not autobiography. This isn't Claypool talking about his own life. This is storytelling at its strangest, most vivid. The song is a character study, a portrait of a boy named John who dreams of becoming a harvester of the sea. From the moment he's introduced, it's clear that John's life is defined by his obsession. He idolizes the ocean, sees it as a world of endless possibility, and sets himself on a path to live entirely by its rules. As the song unfolds, we watch John grow up, chase his calling, and finally claim his place among the waves. But Primus doesn't let the story rest in comfort. Listen closely to the frantic, spiraling crescendo at the end, the bass writhing, the drums pounding, the guitars twisting like crashing surf, and it's almost as if the sea itself is responding. The implication is chilling. The ocean, which gave him purpose, may ultimately take him. It's a story about ambition, the kind that drives someone to dedicate their life to a dream. It's a story about obsession, the kind that leaves no room for compromise or distraction. And it's a story about the price of devotion, the risks inherent in loving something so completely that it might destroy you. And yet, somehow, against all odds, John the Fisherman, with its odd time signatures, twisted melodies, and unapologetic weirdness, became one of the only Primus songs to receive mainstream radio play. It's a rare moment where the band's eccentric storytelling reached a wider audience, proving that even the strangest tales, if told with enough passion and precision, can resonate beyond the margins. It's heroic, it's tragic, it's absurd, and it's classic Primus. Herald of the Rocks. This one is disturbingly literal. Les Claypool has confirmed that Harold was a real person, a small-time crack dealer who didn't just sell drugs, but actively corrupted his friends, pulling them into addiction. There's no poetic disguise here, no allegory, no vague metaphor for society or culture. This is about real people doing real damage. Les once explained it himself. It was about the night that I found out my best friend was smoking crack, and Harold was his connection. That moment, discovering someone you trust entangled in something so destructive, is shocking, disorienting, and terrifying. And Primus translates that feeling into music with absolute precision. The song itself is pure Primus carnivalesque horror. The bass slithers like something alive under the skin. The drums jump unpredictably, and the guitar twists and squeals like it's screaming from a funhouse mirror. Every note mirrors paranoia, decay, and the creeping dread of addiction. You can hear the narrative in the music. The initial curiosity, the casual exposure, the seductive pull of danger, and finally, the inevitable chaos. By the time the song spirals into its frenetic climax, it's almost impossible not to feel the sense of personal betrayal and societal rot. Herald of the Rocks is Primus at its most grotesque, most literal, and most unapologetically uncomfortable. It's a glimpse of a world tainted by addiction, seen through the band's twisted Carnival from Hell lens, a place where humor and horror coexist, and where the music is as unsettling as the story it tells. It's not a story you forget easily, and that's exactly the point. The phrase Frizzle Fry didn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes from Les Claypool's time living near Barrington Hall, the legendary student co-op at UC Berkeley. Barrington Hall was infamous, not for academics, but for its chaotic energy, wild parties, and heroic levels of LSD consumption. It was a place where normal rules didn't apply, and where reality could be bent, stretched, or completely dissolved. To be frizzle fried meant exactly that. Your brain utterly scrambled, your perception melting, your thoughts twisting like smoke after a long psychedelic trip. It's not a casual high, it's a complete immersion in chaos, a state of being both exhilarated and disoriented at the same time. And the song itself captures that state perfectly. From the opening notes, you're thrown into a soundscape that is disoriented. Rhythms and bass lines jump and swerve in unexpected directions, and elastic. Melodies stretch and warp, refusing to settle into anything comfortable. Barely tethered to reality, lyrics and instrumentation feel like they're teetering on the edge of collapse, like a mind unraveling in real time. It's a musical representation of psychedelic overstimulation, filtered through Primus's signature sense of humor and technical mastery. You can almost imagine the listener spinning in a room full of warped mirrors, colors bleeding into shapes, every sound exaggerated and amplified. Frizzle Fry isn't just a song title, it's a state of mind, an auditory portrait of someone completely fried in the best, most bizarre way possible. It's chaotic, it's mesmerizing, and it perfectly embodies the twisted, fearless spirit of the album as a whole. Listening to it, you don't just hear the music, you experience it in all its dizzying, frizzle-fried glory. That horrifying, clay-sculpted man sitting in a frying pan staring at you with wide, panicked eyes? That's Frizzle Fry himself, the grotesque, nightmarish mascot of the album. It's not subtle, it's not pretty, and it's impossible to forget. The sculpture was created by artist Lance "Link" Montoya, a talent whose bizarre, twisted aesthetic perfectly matched Primus's own warped sense of humor. Montoya wouldn't just stop here. He would go on to become a defining part of Primus's visual identity, most famously contributing the unforgettable artwork for Sailing the Seas of Cheese and several other iconic releases. His style is instantly recognizable, chaotic, unsettling, yet strangely whimsical, like a carnival funhouse brought to life. And here's a deep-cut fun fact for the superfans. For the album's 35th anniversary in 2025, Primus decided to do something truly ridiculous, but also perfect for them. They released a custom cast-iron frying pan with the Frizzle Fry artwork molded directly into the bottom. You could literally cook an egg on top of the screaming, clay-faced man. Because of course they did. It's a gesture that perfectly sums up Primus. Absurd, humorous, slightly horrifying, and completely devoted to their own weird universe. The artwork isn't just an album cover, it's an extension of the music, a visual representation of the strange, twisted, unfiltered world they invite listeners into. Looking at that pan or the sculpture itself, it's impossible not to feel a little uneasy, a little thrilled, and entirely convinced that Primus has never cared about fitting in. And honestly, that's exactly why Frizzle Fry still resonates so strongly, decades later. It's not just an album cover, it's a Primus statement. Chaotic, unrelenting, and delightfully unhinged. Frizzle Fry isn't just a landmark album musically, it's also packed with little stories, references, and hidden gems that hardcore fans love to uncover. The Metallica connection. Around this time, Les Claypool actually auditioned for Metallica after the tragic death of Cliff Burton. Imagine Les, with his wild slap bass style and frenetic energy, stepping into one of the biggest metal bands in the world. According to legend, James Hetfield told him he was too good, not in a dismissive way, but in a "you're meant to do your own thing" kind of way. And that's exactly what he did, taking that raw talent and channeling it into Primus's singularly bizarre universe instead of becoming a thrash metal lifer. Kirk Hammett cameo. Fans of both metal and Primus love this one. In the video for John the Fisherman, you might catch a familiar face casually fishing off the side of Les's boat. That's right, Kirk Hammett, Les's childhood friend and soon-to-be Metallica guitarist, makes a cameo. It's subtle, it's ridiculous, and it's quintessentially Primus, a little joke hidden in plain sight that connects their real-life friendships to the band's offbeat mythology. The Rush sample. Primus weren't just weird for weirdness' sake, they were inspired by some of the most technically brilliant prog rock of the era. To Defy the Laws of Tradition opens with a sample of Rush's YYZ'd, a nod to one of their biggest influences. Claypool and company were massive Rush fans, so much so that they later toured with the Canadian legends. That tiny sample isn't just homage, it's a musical wink to anyone paying attention. A breadcrumb that shows how the band's idiosyncratic style was rooted in serious musicianship. The Residents cover. The 2002 remaster of Frizzle Fry included a cover of Hello Skinny, Our Constantinople by The Residents, one of Primus's biggest inspirations in terms of pure weirdness. The Residents were infamous for their anonymity, absurdist humor, and unconventional approach to music, and Primus took that spirit and folded it into their own sound. Covering them wasn't just a tribute, it was a statement of lineage, connecting Primus to a tradition of musicians who weren't afraid to push boundaries and make people uncomfortable. These fun facts show that Frizzle Fry isn't just an album, it's a living collage of influences, friendships, and inside jokes. Every detail, from hidden cameos to subtle samples, reinforces the sense that Primus was creating a world entirely on their own terms. It's a record that rewards curiosity, and the deeper you dig, the more strange and fascinating little Easter eggs you uncover. The sound, gear, budget, and accidental genius. Frizzle Fry was recorded on a shoestring budget, roughly $3,000 in total, but rather than being a limitation, that constraint became a defining feature of the album. With no money for fancy overdubs, exotic effects, or elaborate production, Primus leaned almost entirely on their live rigs, gear they had already perfected through years of playing Bay Area dive bars and club shows. The result? An album that sounds raw, immediate, and unfiltered, as if the listener has been dropped straight into a chaotic, sweaty Primus club show. Every note feels lived in, every groove feels organic, and every mistake is really just part of the band's accidental genius. Les Claypool, the low-end lead. Les's bass isn't just a rhythm instrument, it's the lead voice, the driving force that cuts through the chaos like a knife. On Frizzle Fry, his tone is clanky, mid-forward, and intensely percussive, designed to slice through the mix like a drum while still carrying a strong melodic presence. He achieved that sound using a 1970s Carl Thompson 4-string piccolo bass, custom-built to his exact specifications. His signal ran through an ADA MP1 guitar preamp, modified to handle bass frequencies without sacrificing clarity or punch. From there, it was pushed through Mesa Boogie 400+ heads into 2x15 diesel cabinets, creating that unmistakable growl and physical low-end presence. To keep the attack as sharp as possible, Les constantly swapped out Dean Markley blue steel strings, ensuring maximum zing, snap, and articulation at all times. Every slap, pop, and glide carries a sonic personality, making the bass feel like a hyperactive character in the story of each song. Les wasn't just playing bass, he was composing in real time. LaLonde, the Chicken Scratch King. LaLonde's guitar work is deceptively simple on the surface, but it's packed with subtle textural weirdness. Rather than relying on a massive pedal board, most of his strange sounds came from dissonant chord choices, unconventional voicings, and smart use of dynamics. Throughout Frizzle Fry, Larry primarily played a Fender Stratocaster, running it into a Marshall JCM 800 that was almost always dialed in dirty. That raw, overdriven tone gave his playing an aggressive edge, even when the parts themselves were sparse or restrained. Instead of switching amp channels, Larry often rolled down his guitar's volume knob to clean up the sound. This approach created natural, lo-fi dynamic shifts, giving the album its gritty, lived-in feel and allowing the guitar to breathe around Les's dominant bass lines rather than compete with them. His playing is like a conversation with Les, responding to the bass's chaos while adding layers of tension, release, and sheer unpredictability. Tim Alexander, the drum architect. Tim Alexander isn't just a timekeeper, he's a composer behind the kit, crafting polyrhythms that feel both complex and completely natural. His drumming gives the songs a melodic, almost orchestral quality, adding structure and depth to what could have otherwise been an impenetrable wall of weirdness. On Frizzle Fry, Tim played a massive custom pork pie drum kit, designed to deliver both raw power and surprising subtlety. His setup included double bass pedals paired with octobands, allowing him to move effortlessly between thunderous gallops and rapid-fire, high-pitched accents. Stylistically, his playing is polyrhythmic, melodic, and dynamically orchestrated. Tim's beats don't just keep time, they breathe, push, and pull the songs forward, shaping the music in real time and giving Primus its unmistakable sense of motion and tension. Tim's contributions transform Frizzle Fry from a collection of technically impressive songs into a living, breathing organism. Every fill, crash, and groove feels intentional, like he's narrating the music in rhythm rather than simply keeping time. Together, Les, Larry, and Tim turned budget limitations into a sonic identity. Every clang, squeal, and slap is part of the album's DNA. Frizzle Fry doesn't just sound like a record, it feels like a world, one crafted by three musicians who knew their tools inside and out, and weren't afraid to let chaos reign. It's tight, messy, precise, and unpredictable. Primus at the height of accidental genius. Primus didn't just play music, they invented a sound that was immediately recognizable, utterly bizarre, and impossibly tight. That sound comes down to three things: Les Claypool's unorthodox bass, LaLonde's idiosyncratic guitar approach, and Tim Alexander's polyrhythmic drumming. Together, they created a sonic ecosystem where every note, silence, and accent mattered. Les Claypool's flamenco bass guitar. Les Claypool didn't just slap a bass, he treated it like a multi-instrumental powerhouse. On Frizzle Fry, his technique feels like a marriage of percussion, melody, and madness. Three-finger rolls. By using 3 fingers instead of the traditional 2, Les can perform rapid-fire patterns that give the bass a machine gun articulation, adding a rhythmic complexity that almost functions like a second drummer. Nail strumming like a Spanish guitar. His fingers often mimic flamenco guitar techniques, plucking and rolling in ways that make the bass sing as much as it thumps. Percussive left-hand slaps and hammers. Every note hits with a snap or a thud, creating layers of rhythm and texture simultaneously. The bass isn't just rhythm or melody, it's both at once, weaving around the drums and guitar like a character in its own right. On tracks like Too Many Puppies and Frizzle Fry, Les is not supporting the song, he is the song. LaLonde's hole theory. LaLonde famously described his job in Primus as finding the holes in Les's playing. If Les went high, Larry went low. If Les got busy, Larry went sparse. If Les was unpredictable, Larry became the anchor. This approach creates negative space, which is crucial to the Primus sound. Without it, the songs would feel cluttered, chaotic, or impossible to follow. Instead, Frizzle Fry has a breathing, elastic quality, where each instrument exists in its own space, but interacts dynamically with the others. It's this push and pull, this constant conversation between sound and silence, that makes the album feel wide, strange, and alive. Herb's polyrhythmic mind. Tim Alexander, aka Herb, is not just a drummer. He's a rhythmic architect, composing beats that feel as melodic as the instruments around him. Double kick gallops, rapid-fire bass drum patterns give songs a forward propulsion that feels almost frantic but perfectly controlled. Tribal overlays. Tim layers toms and cymbals in ways that create a sense of ritualistic complexity. Ride cymbal melodies. His ride bell is often more than just a timekeeper, it functions as hook and counter melody. Take John the Fisherman, for example. Listen closely, the ride bell isn't just keeping the beat. It's as memorable and essential as Les's bass line. Tim's drumming adds dimension, tension, and a sense of movement that transforms songs into living, breathing organisms. Together, these techniques define the Primus sound. Les bending the bass into a slap-happy flamenco engine. Lair carving out negative space with alien chords and instinctive phrasing. Herb constructing polyrhythmic architecture that supports, challenges, and elevates the other two. It's not just technical mastery, it's musical chemistry. The weirdness of Frizzle Fry isn't an accident. It's the product of three virtuosos pushing, pulling, and conversing in ways that had never been heard before. Primus didn't just make an album, they invented a universe, and you can hear it in every note, silence, and strange, beautiful quirk. Frizzle Fry isn't just an album, it's a snapshot of three musicians discovering themselves in real time, with no safety net, no label pressures, and no pretense. Every note, every slap, every screeching guitar line feels like an experiment, a bold declaration. This is who we are, take it or leave it. Les Claypool himself has said it best. Frizzle Fry is my favorite Primus record. It's the sound of three guys who were finally finding their groove. And listening to it now, decades later, it's impossible not to hear exactly what he means. You can feel the uncertainty, the ambition, and the sheer joy of a band figuring out how to coexist in the same sonic space, pushing one another to extremes while still leaving room for spontaneity and chaos. The record is raw. The production isn't glossy, the arrangements aren't always tidy, and the performances? They're occasionally unhinged, but in a way that feels alive rather than sloppy. Every song is a microcosm of discovery, where mistakes become genius and limitations become defining features. It's not polished, it's not safe, it's not even remotely normal. It's Primus. From Les's flamenco-infused percussive bass, to Larry's eerie, dissonant guitar voicings, to Herb's polyrhythmic drum patterns that feel as melodic as the notes around them. This album is chaos made coherent. It's humor and horror, absurdity and intellect, all rolled into a sound that no one else could ever replicate. And yes, despite all the talent, innovation, and creativity, some things never change. Primus still sucks. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's the very fact that they refuse to fit in, refuse to play it safe, refuse to be normal, that makes Frizzle Fry not just memorable, but timeless. It's more than an album, it's a declaration. We are Primus, and the rules don't apply here. If you want more videos like this, a super thanks is the best way to support the channel. It lets me know what topics you're enjoying, helps fund future content, and yes, keeps the ManBearCow fed and happy.